There's that. Okay. Hello out there in video land. Today we're going to begin the Inferno Canto 12, which we will read through in its entirety in Italian, and then we will read through it in English, and then we will go back and begin reading in English smaller sections and stopping along the way to ask questions, make statements, and generally talk about things. So, all that being said, Decio, whenever you're ready to begin reading, please
Yeah.
do.
Could you hear me well? Because I'm in other part, in the south of Brazil. Can you hear me well?
You're a little more gravelly than usual,
But
Yeah.
loud.
but it's still pretty clear.
Okay. Let's
And
start.
it is loud, but
Okay. Okay. Era lo loco ove scender la riva, venimo al pestro e per quel che veranco tal che ogni vista ne sarebbe schiva. Quale che la ruina che nel fianco di qua da Trento l'Adice percosse e per tremoto e per sostegno manco che da cima del monte onde si mossi il piano e si la roccia discoscesa che alcuna via darebbe a qui su fosse cotal di quel burato era la cesa, e in sulla punta della rocca lacca l'infamia di Creti era distesa, che fu concetta nella falsa vacca, e quando vidi noi se stesso morse, e siccome quel cui l'ira dentro fiacca. Lo savio m'inver lui gridò, forse tu credi che qui sia il duca d'Atene che su nel mondo la morte ti porse? Partiti, bestia, che questi non venne a maestrato della tua sorella, ma vassi per veder le vostre pene. Qual è quel toro che si slaccia in quella che ha ricevuto già il colpo mortale, che gir non sa, ma qua e là saltella. Vidi io lo minotauro, qual cotale, e quello a corto gritò, corri al varco mentre che l'infuria è buon che tutti cale. Così pendemo via giù per lo scarco e quelle pietre che spesso moviense sotto i miei piedi per lo nuovo carco. Io già pensando e quel disse, tu pensi forse a questa ruina che è guardata da quell'ira bestial che ora pensi. Or vo chi sappi che l'altra fiata che discesi qua giù nel basso inferno, questa roccia non era ancor cascata, ma certo poco pria, se ben dicerno, che venisse colui che la gran preda lavò a dite del sercio superno. Da tutte parti l'altra valle feda, tremò sì chi pensai che l'universo sentisse amor, per la qual e chi creda più volte il mondo in caosso converso, e in quel punto questa vacchia rocchia che altreve tal fece riverso, ma ficca gli occhi a valle che s'approccia la riviera del sangue e in la quale bolle qualche per violenza in altrui noccia. Oh, cieca cupidigia e ira folle che si ci sproni nella vita corta e in eterna poi si mole. Io vidi un'ampia fossa in arco torta come quella che tutto il piano abbraccia, secondo il che aveva detto la mia scorta, e tra le piede la rippa ed essa in traccia corrien centauri armati di siete come solei nel mondo andare a caccia. Vedendo cicolar ciascun ristette e dalla schiera tre si dispartiro con archi e anticciole prima elette. E un gritò da lungi, a quale martirio venite voi che ascendete la costa? Dite il constince se non l'arco tiro. Lo mio maestro disse, la risposta faren noi a Chiron costadi presso, ma fu la voglia tua sempre si tosta. Poi mi tentò e disse, quel nesso che morri per la vera, bella Dianira e fe di sé la vendetta egli stesso, e quel di mezzo che al petto si mira è il gran Chiron, il qual nutrì Achille, quell'altro è Follo che fu sin piendira. D'intorno al fosso vanno a mille, saetando qual anima si svele del sangue più che sua colpa sortile. Next.
Noi ci appressiamo a quelle fiere snelle, Chiron prese una strale con la coca, fece la barba indietro alle mascelle. Quando sebbe scoperta la gran bocca, disse ai compagni, siete voi accorti che quel diretro muove ciò che tocca, così non sogliono far i piedi di morti. Il mio buon duca, che già li era al petto, dove le due nature son consorti, riscuose bene vivo e si soletto, mostrarli mi convien la valle buia, necessità c'induce e non diletto. Tal si partì da cantare alleluia, che mi commise quest officio novo. Non è ladron, né io anima fuia, ma per quella virtù per cui io movo, li passi miei per sì selvaggia strada, da un di tuoi a cui noi siamo a prova, e che ne mostri là dove si guarda, e che porti costui in su la groppa, che non esperto, che per l'aria vada. Next, please.
Okay, Decio, I'll go ahead and read.
Sorry, what is the line? What is the
Well,
line?
well, it's 97, but I'm going to go ahead and read. We're pretty well into it, so I'm going to go ahead and read.
Okay.
Chiron si volse in sulla destra poppa e disse a Nesso, torna e si li guida e fa cansar sa altra schiera vintopa. O chi movemmo con la scorta fida lungo la proda del bolor remiglio, dove i boliti facciano alte strida. Io vidi gente sotto infino al siglio, il gran centauro disse, e son tiranni, che dier ne sangue e nell'aver de piglio, quivi si piangon li spietate danni, quivi e Alessandro e Dionisio Fero, che fe Cecilia aver dolorosi anni, e quella fronte cal percorsi nero e azzolino, e quell'altro che biondo, e opiso da isti, il qual per vero fu spento dal figliastro su nel mondo. Allor mi volsi al poeta e che disse, questi ti sia o primo e io secondo. Poco più oltre il centauro s'affise, sovruna gente che fino alla gola paria che di quel bullicame uccise. Mostroci un'ombra dell'incanto sola, dicendo, colui fece ni grembo a Dio lo cor che su tamisi ancor si cola. Poi vide gente che di fuor di rio tenea la testa e ancor tutto il caso, e di costoro assai riconobio. Così a più si facea basso quel sangue, sì che con cena puli piedi, e quindi fu diffoso il nostro passo. Siccome tu da questa parte vede, io bullicame che sempre si cesema, disse il centauro, voglio che tu credi, che da quest'altra a poi giù prema, io fondo suo, infin che il si raggiunge, ove la tirannia convien che gema, la divina giustizia di qua punge, quel Attila che su flagello intera, e Piro, e Sesto, e in eterno munge. Le lagrime che col bollor di sera a rinier da cornetto, a rinier paso, che fecero alle strade tanta ghiera, poi si rivolse e ripassosi il guaso. Ok.
Sorry to disturb you, Duncan. Do
Mhm.
you remember a phrase in Ulysses? Bloom was saying to Molly, are you sure about that voglio?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it's not correct. It's voglio. Voglio. The,
Right,
G,
because
G, the GL is L, just L.
Volio,
Voglio. There are the other words also with GL, is just L.
just L.
The
Okay.
pronunciation is just the L.
Okay, great. Thank you
There
very
are
much.
many words in this country.
Okay,
GL,
that has a
L, just
GL and
L.
it should just
The
be L. Okay.
G, the G is not pronounceable. Are you
Okay.
sure about that voglio? Because it's
Mhm.
voglio.
Volio.
Voglio. Voglio
Okay.
is not to want to
Thank you very
want.
much.
Yeah, okay. Sorry
No,
about
no, that's not to be sorry about anything. I thank you very much.
it.
That's a,
Are
we'll
you
add.
sure about that voglio?
Are you sure about that, Volio?
Remember. Yeah, remember.
Okay. So we're
Yeah.
ready to go on to the English reading now. And
Okay.
whoever is the first English reader may begin.
Yeah, it's me, I think.
Okay.
Not only was that place where we had come to descend craggy, but there was something there that made the scene appalling to the eye. Like the ruins this side of Trent left by the landslide, an earthquake or erosion must have caused it, that hit the adage on its left bank. When from the mountain's top, Where the slide began to the plain below, the shattered rocks slipped down, shaping a path for a difficult descent, so that the slope of our ravine's formation, so was the slope of our ravine's formation. And at the edge, along the shattered chasm, there lay stretched out the infamy of Crete. The sun conceived in the pretended cow. When he saw us, he bit into his flesh, gone crazy with the fever of his rage. My wise guide cried to him, "Perhaps you think you see the Duke of Athens come again, who came once into the world to bring your death. Begone, you beast, for this one is not led down here by means of clues your sister gave him. He comes here only to observe your torments." Next.
As is that bull who breaks loose at that moment in which he has received the mortal blow, who cannot walk, but staggers here and there. The Minotaur beheld I do the like, and he, the wary, cried, "Run to the passage, while he wroth, 'tis well thou shouldst descend." Thus down we took our way o'er that discharge of stones, which oftentimes did move themselves beneath my feet from the unwonted burden. Thoughtful I went, and he said, "Thou art thinking perhaps upon this ruin, which is guarded by that brute anger which just now I quenched. Now will I have thee know, the other time I here descended to the nether hell, this precipice had not yet fallen down. But truly, if I well discern, a little before his coming, the mighty spoil bore off from Dis in the supernal circle. Upon all sides the deep and loathsome valley trembled so, that I thought the universe was thrilled with love, by which there are who think the world ofttimes converted into chaos. And at that moment, this primeval crag, both here and elsewhere, made such overthrow. But fix thine eyes below, for draweth near the river of blood, within which boiling is whoe'er by violence doth injure others. Next, please.
O blind cupidity, O wrath insane, that spurs us onward, so in our short life, and in the eternal then so badly steeps us. I saw an ample moat bent like a bow, as one which all the plain encompasses, conformable to what my guide had said. And between this and the embankment foot, centres in file were running, armed with arrows, as in the world they used the chase to follow. Beholding us descend, each one stood still, and from the squadron 3 detached themselves, with bows and arrows in advance selected. And from afar one cried, "Unto what torment come ye, who down the hillside are descending? Tell us from there, if not I draw the bow." Next, please.
John?
Oh, I thought someone else was.
No, you're after Anne Doyle.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Not a problem.
My master said, "Our answer will we make to Chiron near you there in evil hour. That will of thine was evermore so hasty." Then touched he me and said, "This one is Nessus, who perished for the lovely Deianira, and for himself did vengeance take. And he in the midst, who at his breast is gazing, is the great Chiron, who brought up Achilles. That other Pholus is, who was so wrathful. Thousands and thousands go about the moat, shooting with shafts whatever soul emerges out of the blood, more than his crime allots. Ere we approached unto those monsters fleet, Chiron an arrow took, and with the notch backward upon his jaws he put his beard. Next, please.
After he had uncovered his great mouth, he said to his companions, "Are you aware that he behind moveth whatever he touches? Thus are not wont to do the feet of dead men." And my good guide, who now was at his breast where the two natures are together joined, replied, "Indeed he lives, and thus alone me it behooves to show him the dark valley. Necessity and not delight impels us." Someone withdrew from singing hallelujah, who unto me committed this new office. No thief is he, nor I, a thieving spirit, but by that virtue through which I am moving my steps along this savage thoroughfare, give us someone of thine to be with us, who may show us where to pass the ford, and who may carry this one on his back, for 'tis no spirit that can walk the air. Next.
Upon this right breast, Chiron wheeled about and said to Nexus, "Turn on, do thou guide them, and warn them aside if other band may meet you. We with our faithful escort onward moved along the brink of the vermilion boiling, wherein the boiling were uttering loud laments. People I saw written up to the eyebrows, and the great centaur said, Tyrants are these, who deaths in bloodshed and in pillaging. Here they lament their pitiless mischiefs. Here is Alexander and fierce Dionysius, who upon Sicily brought dolorous years. That forehead there which has the hair so black is Azoline, and the other who is blonde, Obizzo, is of Isti, who in truth, just a moment. Sorry. A moment. In truth, up in the world was by his stepson slain, then turned to the poet, and he said, Now he be first to thee and second I. A little farther on the centaur stooped above a folk who far down in the throat seemed from that boiling stream to issue forth. A shade he showed us on one side alone, saying, He cleft asunder in God's bosom. The heart that's still upon the Thames is honored. Then people saw I who from all the river lifted their heads and also all the chest, and many among these I recognize. Next, please.
Thus ever more and more grew shallower that blood, so that the feet alone it covered, and there across the moat our passage was. Even as thou here upon this side beholdest, the boiling stream that eye diminishes, the centaur said, I wish thee to believe that on this other more and more declines its bed, until it reunites yourself where it behoveth tyranny to groan. Justice divine upon this side is goading that Attila, who was the scourge on earth, and Pyrrhus and Sextus, and forever milks the tears which with the boiling it unseals. In Renier de Corneto, in Renier Passo, who made upon the highway so much war. Then back he turned and passed again the ford. Okay. Back to the first English reader.
That's me, but
Okay.
does somebody may I read second? Because
Mhm.
I'm reading from a different translation. So it might be interesting to hear another translation.
Okay. All right. So
But
who's the reader after you?
That'd be
yeah,
me.
so-
All right.
and then I'll come in after that.
All right, then yeah. Well, I'll
Yeah.
just read down to, let's see, where did you read to?
Will you read? Yeah, just stop when you feel you want to
Yeah,
stop.
all right, okay. All right, so, okay, the place where to descend the bank we came was alpine, and from what was there, moreover, of such a kind that every eye would shun it, such as that ruin is which in the flank smote on this side of Trent, the Adige, either by earthquake or by failing stay. For from the mountain's top, from which it moved unto the plain, the cliff is shattered so, some path 'twould give to him who was above. Even such was the descent of that ravine, and on the border of the broken chasm, the infamy of Crete was stretched along, who was conceived in the fictitious cow, and when he beheld, he bit himself, even as one whom anger racks within. My sage toward him shouted, Peradventure, thou thinkst that here may be the Duke of Athens, who in the world above brought death to thee? Get thee gone, beast, for this one cometh not instructed by thy sister, but he comes in order to behold your punishments. I think I'll stop there. So
Okay.
next,
All right, good. So time to talk about it and clarify if necessary.
yeah.
Okay, any comments, questions, or otherwise?
I'm looking
He's
for the
talking-
the Duke of Athens.
So
That's Theseus.
they are talking about the Minotaur.
The
The
Duke of
Minotaur is
Athens,
the
though.
Minotaur. He was
The
a bull.
Minotaur.
Yeah.
There was a bull in the island of Crete that was subdued by Theseus. No? And
But the Minotaur was the Duke of Athens?
No,
no,
no.
No,
The Duke of Athens is
it's the
Teresus.
imp.
Oh, okay.
Theseus, Theseus,
Yeah.
no?
Theseus,
That
right.
subdued the Minotaur and his sister. What's her name? It was
Ariadne.
Ariadne. Ariadne. Yeah.
Mhm.
And the rocks, they are many rocks like earthquake, and this is similar to the rocks. They are close to the river Adige,
Mhm.
close to the city of Trento in North Italy.
Right. And a little bit further, we'll find out more about that earthquake and why there was an earthquake there.
The note here in Longfellow says that Chaucer wrote about Theseus in the Knight's Tale.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, this earthquake was at the time of Jesus Christ
Crucifixion.
when we went to the hell
Mm.
after before his resurrection, let's say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well-
he released many people from the hell, and they went to the heavens.
Well, I guess a comment here. I think it seems to me he's Dante is sort of making some kind of a statement here about this passage going by the Minotaur. It seems, in some ways, it seems to me a little kind of what I'd call gratuitous. He's just sort of throwing this character of the Minotaur in there as being another horrific kind of monster along the way, who doesn't really have much to add to the. I mean, I don't see it as really all that compelling to moving the story forward in so many ways, I guess. And that's what I mean by gratuitous. He seems to be just an interesting side observation.
Well, this note in Longfellow says, "See the infamous story in all the classical dictionaries," but I don't know what it is.
Oh, I can give you a quick see if
Yeah.
you want.
Sure.
King Minos had a wife named Pasiphae, and she developed a passion for a bull, but negotiating that relationship was going to be problematic for her. Seducing the bull was going to be difficult. So she enlisted the inventor Daedalus, and he created a frame of a cow. That's the fictitious cow in line 13.
Okay, yeah,
And Pasiphae was able to climb into
yeah.
the
Pacific, yeah.
cow frame that he made and go out into the field. And the result of that liaison was the Minotaur, who's part human and part bull.
Yeah.
So Minos had Daedalus construct a labyrinth in which was so intricate you couldn't find your way out of it, and put the Minotaur in there. He also put Daedalus and his son Icarus in there because I guess he knew that Daedalus was ultimately the cause of all this. In any case, supposedly the Athenians had to provide, I think it was 7 young men and 7 young women, something like that, each year to feed the Minotaur. And so Theseus went along. Minos's daughter Ariadne, the Minotaur's sister, fell in love with Theseus and gave him a thread so that he could find his way back out of the labyrinth. So he went in, slew the Minotaur, and then found his way out. And that's what, so the Duke of Athens is Theseus in line 17. And when he says, when Virgil says to the Minotaur, Dante hasn't been brought here by your sister. That's because Ariadne aided Theseus in killing the Minotaur. So that's basically.
Yeah, thank you. And
here.
really, didn't Dante believed this mythology was mythology and not history?
But now we are in the 7th circle, and the Minotaur is the guardian of this circle. So,
Yeah.
because of this, we have this conversation.
Sure.
Yeah. We've had others like Cerberus and that earlier on.
So, the Minotaur was just an obstacle, and they passed it through.
Yeah, I was going to say he seemed to give them. He seemed to be easily persuaded to let them go by.
Yeah.
It's sort of like just a kind of, well, okay, just move on here. Then you're no trouble to me.
Yeah, by the words of Virgil. So
Yeah,
he convinced the Minotaur to get aside, to stay aside, and live their best.
right.
Mm.
Yep.
So we want to keep on reading, or
But are we going on?
Okay. I think so.
yeah? Well,
Yeah.
who's next then?
No,
You'd be next then.
no, I'm going to read next.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're reading.
Very
Okay,
good.
you're reading Sylvia. Okay.
Yeah, because because of
Right,
translation.
yeah. Righto.
The way a bull breaks loose, the very moment he knows he's been dealt a mortal blow, and cannot run, but jumps and twists and turns. Just so I saw the Minotaur perform, and my guide, alert, cried out, "Run to the pass," while he still writhed with rage. "Get started down." And so we made our way down through the ruins of rocks, which often I felt shift and tilt beneath my feet from the weight they are not used to. I was deep in thought when he began. "Are you perhaps thinking about the ruins protected by the furious beast?" I quenched in its own rage. Shall I stop there? Anybody think?
Go ahead and just read a couple more.
Yeah, okay. Now let me tell you, that other time I came to the lower part of hell, this rock had not fallen into ruins, but certainly, if I remember well, it was just before the coming of that one who took from hell's first circle the great spoil, that this abyss of stench from top to bottom began to shake. So I thought the universe felt love, whereby some have maintained the world has more than once renewed itself in chaos. This was the moment when this ancient rock was split this way, here, and in other places. Okay, shall we have a look?
This is like the Hindu, everything fell apart and then the new incarnation begins again.
And who's the one? That one? Is that Christ?
Yeah, surely.
That's right. Yes. So it was Desio was saying that this was the time of the earthquake, the earthquake that they described in the Bible when at the moment of Christ's death.
The harrying of hell. The harrying of hell.
The harrying of hell?
Yep, that what it's called?
Oh, I never heard that before.
Yeah.
I guess I was assuming there was an earthquake described in the Bible at the moment of Christ's death, which tore the curtain of the temple and so forth.
Yeah.
And I thought that maybe that opened the gates of hell, and that's where, well, it's not specifically referred to any of the Gospels, but there's like an earthquake described at the moment of Christ's death in some of I think the Synoptic Gospels. So
maybe it's both.
No, that's just what it's called.
Let's see what notes say.
I have a vague recollection of alternate versions of the Apostles' Creed. Was crucified, dead, and buried. The third day he rose from the dead.
right,
But I think there's a version where he descended into hell.
Right.
The third day he rose from the dead and ascended into heaven. But I think there's another version of it that mentions the descent into hell.
That's right. Yeah. The Nicene Creed
in my mind now.
Yeah.
and
Apostles'
then,
Creed, Nicene Creed. Sorry, Sylvia.
hold on, I just think, did they sort of sanitize this after Vatican II or something? I don't know. I seem to remember that as well.
Yeah, but we do have to consider that Virgil lived before Christ, no? Is it correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And in line 34, he says, "Now will I have this know, the other time I here descended to the nether hell. This precipice had not yet fallen down." And so he went to the age, the hell, the inferno, before Christ promoted this earthquake.
Yeah, back
So
in
these rocks were, the rocks were not there.
yes,
Well,
back in Inferno 9, when he tells Dante the story of being sent down there to get someone by Erito.
Oh, yeah.
Virgil went to
Yeah,
the inferno before Christ descended
that's
to the
right.
hell, before going to the heavens, no? In this resurrection.
Mhm.
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it introduces an element of time into a timeless place.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where the story, I mean, I think that's one of these uh stories, and I think the same with like the Nicene Creed or the Apostles' Creed, whichever, I forget. I think there's a couple versions of each of those, some of which refer to descending into hell, Christ descending into hell. Some of them just say and after 3 days he rose again from the dead. They just say it that way. But this I've never heard harrowing of hell, but I think if that's what it's called, I think that's one of these kinds of um, traditions that was carried on in the Catholic Church for centuries. And then, as we've moved into the modern times with the Reformation and all that, those stories basically got sanitized, cleansed, or just simply, just brushed away. And the theologians basically went to work on it, I think, and just said, well, there's no, I think we're scriptural, maybe scriptural purists would say, well, there's nothing in any of the Gospels that mentioned this going to hell. And I think that's correct. I haven't checked here, but I'm pretty sure that there's an earthquake mentioned, and there's something about many people who are dead from time before getting out of their graves and walking around. They were seen at that after Christ's death. So there's something about that, I think, but I don't think that there's anything about Christ going down to, the hell or Hades or some sort of lower place.
But Dante got that from somewhere.
Well, as I say, I think this was a tradition and maybe some theological thing. I mean, you keep in mind that, there was a lot of influential theological comment by St. Augustine or St. Ambrose or other kinds of, church fathers, so-called, who basically were, or even simply stories. I mean, a lot of the legends and maybe Gnostic gospels, even to some extent, were still in currency at some point, and the whole story, for example, about the crucifixion of Peter and Paul. I mean, there's nowhere written anything about those in any gospels, but those are kind of accepted as sort of historical facts, and somehow or other that history has been carried on through maybe the annals or something of the Vatican or something. I don't know, but I just there's some other source for that than the Bible is all I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. Leaving me knowing that I know less than I thought I knew.
Well, exactly. So once you start peeling this back, you understand, well, I don't know anything anymore.
I think this was also referred to back near the beginning of the
Yeah.
poem where
Hmm.
Dante asks if anybody ever escaped from hell, and Virgil tells him basically that Jesus came down and
Oh yeah, there you go.
Adam and
It's in
Moses and
Canto 4,
others
John.
were brought up.
Canto 4. There's a
Canto-
list.
Okay.
I just went back through them. That was one reference to the harrowing of hell. And another one was when Virgil wasn't able to open the gate, and then an angel came and opened it. And there's some reference in that one. I can't remember what canto it is, but it was that this is the second gate. The first gate, this when they were going to Dis, the city of Dis, the original gate was open since the harrowing of hell.
Hmm.
There's a reference there somewhere. I'll have to find it. Do you understand? Remember that section when they were going
I
through the
remember, yeah.
city,
That's
that
where
gate, and they couldn't get through.
Mhm. Yeah,
And then
there's a gate. There's that by the city of Dis. Wasn't that
yes,
there? There's some sort of gate, and and then they see
A
this.
reference to an
horse.
earlier one, yeah.
Was that earlier than that?
Mm.
And Christ released some souls from the city of Dit
Yep.
before his resurrection. After his resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Canto 4, from around 55 on, they're all listed. All the people that were saved.
55 on.
Yeah. So you have the first parent, which is Adam,
Right.
his son Abel, Noah, Moses, Abraham. They're all.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They were
Yeah.
all
Oh yeah. There
saved.
we go. Okay. Abraham,
Now,
King, David, Rachel. Okay, sure. Okay.
Well, where are we now, please? I'm sorry, I had to step away.
We just went back to Canto 4 there to discuss about the harrowing of hell and the people that were taken out of it, but John hadn't heard of it before.
I
So-
hadn't heard of that term, the harrying or harrowing of hell, and I just was
Mhm.
commenting that there, that's not. There's nothing in the Bible, but this is Dante talks about this, about Christ descending into hell, and John the Elder here mentioned how,
Mhm.
Apostles' Creed or versions of that had referred to that, and some do and some don't. So Christ descending into hell and bringing people out of hell after his crucifixion.
Right. Yeah, it was very important to realize that Dante is taking amazing liberties.
Christ released from hell Abel, Noah, Moses, David, Abraham, Rachel, and so on.
Mhm.
Is there an apocrypha of the New Testament?
What was that, Dee Dee?
Is there an apocrypha that covers the New Testament?
No.
No, I think there's only there's just these Gnostic gospels, these the Nag Hammadi and the Dead Sea Scrolls. I don't know about the Dead Sea Scrolls actually, but the Nag Hammadi, I think, was the one in Egypt that discovered a whole bunch, a whole treasure trove of Gnostic gospels. The Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of, I don't even know, maybe the Gospel of Mary Magdalene or some these different ones. And I'm not sure I got that right, but there are a whole big.
There's a lot of extra books that didn't make the cut, as they
In the
said.
New Testament. Thank you.
Yeah. They're not, of course, officially accepted, but a lot of people say this is evidence, certainly, of that there was a lot of different versions of Christian, things, Christian thought before these different conferences that happened over the centuries under the emperors.
Right.
Basically made it official that the four gospels we have in the Bible, the New Testament today, became the whatever that word is, the official Bible.
It's amazing how much Dante was able to read, how much he knew that he put into this, like that harrowing of hell might have been in the Apocrypha, and he would have known about it because of that, or it might have been commonly believed at that point.
I think Dante tries to summarize what happened in the world before the year 1300. He comments about many historical faiths and biblical and mythological faiths before the year 1300 and from the antiquity.
In Serres, he didn't get it all right. I don't remember which details, but some of it he actually was incorrect about. According to I must have gotten that in Serres' notes.
Well, not only did he get some things incorrect, he actually created some things, like the whole thing of having the Minotaur in hell in the Inferno. I mean, that's straight out of Greece.
Yeah, out of Greece, I was thinking about the different monsters he has through the Commedia and how those
Mhm.
monsters represent the sins.
Right.
Yeah,
We have
Cerberus, Chiron, the Minotaur,
Minotaur, yeah.
the Furies. We had the
The
Furies
Fury,
at the city of this. I mean, there's lots of this that he is using.
lots from the Greek and Roman mythology. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what line are we on in our current?
34, 37, I think, no?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Maybe around this.
That sounds about right.
So you went into the fact that this is another time where Virgil is talking about when he has been in this part of hell before.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
Because he lived before Christ. And this is the moment that Christ released some people, and there was a earthquake in the time of
Mhm.
Christ when he died.
Yeah, I
And
believe the earthquake was supposed to have been during the crucifixion.
Virgil lived before Christ. And so Virgil is remembered that he went to the hell
Mhm.
before those rocks stayed there because that rocks came from the earthquake.
Mhm.
Mhm.
and they stayed there until a live person stepped on them because the spirits don't
Exactly.
weigh anything.
Right.
Exactly.
I think we start at 39, or is it 40? Must be 39.
Okay, but truly, if I will discern a little before his coming, Christ's coming, who's a mighty spoil, bore from this and this. Okay. Okay. Who's the next reader?
Misha, line 40. So, upon all sides, the deep and loathsome valley trembled so that I thought the universe was thrilled with love, by which there are who think the world oft times converted into chaos, and at that moment this primeval crag, both here and elsewhere, made for such overthrow. But fix thine eyes below, for draw it near the river of blood, within which boiling is whoever by violence doth injure others. Mhm. O blind cupidity, O wrath insane, that spurs us onward so in our short life, and in the eternal, then so badly steeps us. Mhm. I saw an ample moat bent like a bow, as one which all the plain encompasses, conformable to what my guide had said. Between Drago, and between this and the embankment foot sentries in file were running armed with arrows, as in the world they used the chase to follow. Beholding us descend, each one stood still, and from the squadron 3 detached themselves with bows and arrows in advanced selection. And from afar one cried, Unto what torment come ye who down the hillside are descending? Tell us from there, if not, I draw the bow.
Okay, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's probably
That's it.
fine.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. Because
That's a
then
that's,
Dante
that's a
starts
pretty
speaking.
okay.
And that's it.
So they make it around the Minotaur. They're coming down
Mm.
the hill with that was jumbled up by the earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
They see a boiling river of blood. and that is the infernal place for those who with violence injured others.
And they found the three centaurs.
They found the what now?
They found the three centaurs, Chiron, Nessus,
Oh, yeah.
and Follow.
Okay. Chiron.
Oh, so the centaurs.
Chiron, yeah. Chiron.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And before, there are passages related to love and hate.
Mm-hmm.
Love and hate, that is the doctrine of Empedocles.
So you're talking about back on 40 through 42, right?
Yeah.
40 to 43, 44, 47. Yeah. From 40 to 47. Love and chaos.
Love, yeah.
Hate, evil. Maybe St. Augustine talking about love and evil.
Yeah, it sounds like, Dante is drawing some point here, I guess. Seems to be drawing some point here that there are those who think that the universe was thrilled with love.
Mm-hmm.
But then he compares those who think that the world was converted into chaos at that moment by this when this primeval crag were made such overthrow. And then he contrasts that again with the river of blood, the river Phlegethon, within which boiling is whereby violence doth injure others. So I don't know. Is he asking a question here, or is he making a point? I'm not sure.
Well, Virgil is saying that I thought the universe was thrilled with love.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's true.
And sometimes converts to chaos is evil.
Yes.
So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess it depends on your point of view, doesn't it?
maybe he's talking about love and evil.
I think he was talking about his own Christ taught him that his own universe was renewed. That love was like the universe is permeated with love. That point of view returned to him. That he actually believed in Christ
Yeah.
at that point.
I wonder if he's making a comment here about saying that in a sense there was that the love that was thrilling the world in this overthrow resulted in the river of blood, by which is the boiling of this blood is of the blood of those who have done violence, who have injured others, as if to say, these are some people who really deserved it. So there's justice somehow, and there's some divine or some eternal justice here.
Yeah.
It's like this is really like, well, like here's some karma, folks.
Yeah. It's beautiful, actually.
Okay. So I'm going to read Hollander's explanation of this.
All right.
These are lines 40 through 45. Hollander writes, Virgil's explanation of what happened in the immediate aftermath of the crucifixion shows a correct temporal and physical understanding. He, after all, actually witnessed these phenomena 53 years after he arrived in Limbo. However, his use of the Greek poet and philosopher Empedocles as authority shows his ingrained pagan way of accounting for one of Christianity's greatest miracles, Christ's ransoming of souls committed to hell. According to Empedocles, am I pronouncing that correctly, John?
I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Empedocles?
I would say Empedocles, but
Empedocles, thank you. That sounds better. According to Empedocles, in addition to the four elements, earth, water, air, and fire, there are two others, and these govern the universe in alternating movements of love, concord, and hatred. As chaos moves towards concord, crowned by love, that very order, momentary established, at once recedes and moves towards chaos. This circular theory of history is intrinsically opposed to the Christian view, in which Christ's establishment of love as a universal principle redeemed history once and for all. In Virgil's apparent understanding, the climactic event in Christian history marked only the beginning of a final stage of chaos.
Sure. So he's commenting on those who think the world changes from chaos to love.
And then back to chaos, and then back to love, and then back to chaos, and back to love.
Wow.
And I think that a large part of what this is all about is the showing how there can be an end to history. The history being that which goes from love to chaos to love to chaos to love to chaos.
So instead of a cycle, it's a definitive apocalypse.
I don't know if I'd use the word apocalypse myself. To me, the apocalypse comes before the final end of history. The apocalypse is part of history.
Yeah.
Is close to the doomsday.
Right.
Doomsday. Yeah. Well, Dante puts Eden in Purgatorio, at the end of Purgatorio, and after Eden, Eden is gone, comes heaven.
Paradiso. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that, and I'm just positing this as a temporary idea. I think that it's both and that this cycle of love and chaos is going on at the same time, that there is another realm beyond time and space to where there is no history anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that they're both happening at the same they're kind of both happening at the same instance or in the same universe.
Yeah, I'm reading St. Augustine, and he's the whole issue of whether time really exists is something he ponders.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, St. Augustine did some studies about time, the linear time,
Mm-hmm. It's
as we
interesting.
use it
It's interesting to read his thinking about it.
The time, the year Anno Domino, we live in the year 2024, was established around the year 500. Before, there was no counting of the years of time. A pope asked to Dionysius the Exiguus. He was an astronomer, he was a priest, and he made some studies based on Eastern, because he knows the Catholics, they know about the age of the popes and the time of the East every year by the moons. And so they decided, they arrived by their calculations that Christ was born 500 years before. So they started to count the year 5000, and we arrived to the year 2024 today. Before, books by Herodotus and the one that wrote about the 12 Caesars, I don't remember the name, they didn't use the time. They just used son of somebody, grandson of somebody. There was no counting of time.
Well, not in our sense, but I mean, certainly the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Chinese, they all had a sense of time.
Yeah, the Chinese and the Hebrews, the Israelis, they are in the year 6000 and something. And so the Chinese also. But in our Occidental world, the Western world, we are in the year 2024, because they start in count from the year 500. At the time of Christ, the Israel was just a province from the Roman Empire. So,
you know, while that was, I'm sorry.
The Romans, they were not according to change their calendar. No?
While they were thinking about time that way, ancient astronomers and ancient
at the time of the Romans, they just thinking about the months. June, August is just name of emperors. August is Augustus. June is a god.
And that was the astrologers.
Yeah, there was just name from the Greek, the mythology, just for the months, not for the years, and just for the days of the week. Monday, Tuesday, and so yeah.
And they were elaborate, very old machines. They were like machines with rotating like wheels, and they would show. I saw a very old one in England somewhere, in London somewhere. They showed time and the location of planets and the dates on the Earth, all of these different wheels turning together and locating, I guess, the exact time we were at. That was ancient. It's really very exciting.
Maybe in Greenwich.
It wasn't even Greenwich. It was some small museum on the South Bank somewhere. I don't remember. So where are we?
I was interested. It's interesting to observe, I guess, just getting back to this discussion about, I guess, in Christian era times, or now it's still common era. I think that we still, like the Western Church, the Catholic or other, even the Protestant churches, we celebrated Easter like a week and a half ago, and or 3 weeks ago. And the Eastern Church is just coming to celebrate Easter now. I think there's just like they're completely different different timetable on Easter, and they have different different ways of observing Easter than Western Church. So something got messed up, and I think there's always I've heard these. I don't remember all the details of it, but there was this thing about the Julian calendar, and this all I think didn't this sort of happen between under one of the Eastern at the time that the Roman Empire split into two, the Western and Eastern empires? Wasn't that kind of like when that separation took place, where they started marking time differently than?
Yes, it was in the 14th and the 4th and 5th century.
Yeah,
is this
there. Yeah.
Dionysius Exiguus. You try in the Google, Dionysius Exiguus. He invented this. They started to count the year 500 and something. Dionysius Exiguus.
Was that was under, what was the name of the emperor at the time, though? Wasn't there an emperor?
It was a pope. It was a pope.
It was a pope.
It was after the fall of Rome.
Okay.
After the fall of Rome. It was a pope. I don't remember the name of the pope. Sixtus something.
Sixtus, all right.
Sixtus something.
Let's go back to Dante.
Let's go back.
Yeah, okay,
sorry. Sorry. Where were we?
Continue to read here. We're getting into the centaur part of the chapter here of the canto.
I read down to line 63.
Before we do that, let me read a little note from Barolini. And this is about the section that mentions love. Let's see. At the moment of the quake, Virgilio says he believed that the universe felt love. Although Virgilio is technically wrong in ascribing the Earth's tremor to a concord of the elements, in saying that the universe felt love, he has in fact intuited the correct cause of the quake. The universe felt love in that it felt the arrival of Christ. Again, we see Dante dramatizing the pathos of Virgilio, the good learner, who, despite his limitations, always does his best to provide knowledge and guidance to his pupil.
It's like evidence that Virgil belongs in the paradise.
Yeah, we don't know where Virgil is, no?
No, he's not in paradise. He doesn't get to paradise. He has to leave.
He's in limbo.
He's in limbo.
He's in limbo. Yeah. He's in limbo.
But Beatrice has recruited him to help Dante, who he will continue to guide up and through most of Purgatorio, where then Virgil will return back to limbo while Dante goes on.
Goes on with Beatrice.
This is about the church, the church not accepting Virgil. But Dante does.
Well,
okay. Who is the next reader, or do we have more to discuss about what Anne read?
Desio's the next reader on my list.
John is to read.
Okay, starting at 64. My master said, our answer will we make to Chiron near you there. In evil hour, that will of thine was evermore so hasty. Then touched he me and said, this one is Nessus, who perished for the lovely Deianira, and for himself did vengeance take. And he in the midst, who at his breast is gazing, is the great Chiron, who brought up Achilles. That other Pholus is, who was so wrathful. Thousands and thousands go about the moat, shooting with shafts whatever soul emerges out of the blood more than his crime allots. So he introduces three centaurs who are known from the ancient literature.
Hmm.
And
they are
that,
basically the punishers of the violent.
yeah,
So we get a very quick, sharp image of how those who commit violence on others are punished, which is they're in this river of boiling blood. And when they try to stick their head above it, they're shot with arrows by the centaurs. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Achilles
Yeah.
lived with Chiron. He was educated by Chiron. And Hercules, his wife was Deianira, and Nexus tried to seduce Janira. And then Hercules killed Nessus. Yeah. And
And then
about
he
the other
gave
one, I
then
don't
he
know.
gave the cloak. Then he gave the cloak to Hector's wife, who gave it
Yeah, the
to
clothes was poisoned. No?
yeah.
The clothes was poisoned, and he died.
Mhm.
Okay. I want to go back just very briefly to lines 46 through 51.
Okay.
But fix thy, okay, so this is Virgil talking to Dante. But fix thine eyes below, for draweth near the river of blood, within which boiling is whoever by violence doth injure others. O blind cupidity, O wrath insane, that spurs us onward so in our short life, and in the eternal then so badly steeps us.
What are
So
you reading from, Duncan?
I'm reading from Canto 12, and I've read from lines 46 to 51.
Just went back for a second, Didi.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so the last line's, oh, blind cupidity. Cupidity is just appetite or overstepping the boundaries of emotion. Oh, wrath insane that spurs us on and so short our life, and in the eternal then so badly steeps us. So I think the only reason I wanted to focus on this is once again the idea that when an emotion or an appetite oversteps its boundaries, which it does when we forget about the limitations of our life, that's how souls end up in the inferno being punished.
So the centaur were using bows and arrows,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
they tried to kill they made some, so to say, to menace, to they wanted to kill the Dante
Punish them.
and
I think punish
Virgil.
them is a better word. They can't be killed because they're already dead.
Yeah, but they wanted to put the arrows against these visitors. So
Oh
Virgil
yeah, yeah,
has
yeah, yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
interfere.
Yes. They wanted the visitors to identify themselves
Yeah.
because usually the only people who come there are people who are coming to be punished for the sin
And
of
if they
violence.
didn't identify themselves, they would be killed by the arrows, no?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The centaurs.
Mm-hmm. Right. Line 61 through
So,
63. Friend, from
so
afar one cried, unto what torment come ye? who down the hillside are descending. Tell us from there, if not, I draw my bow.
Yeah. So Virgil has to interfere.
Yeah. Virgil says, our answer will we make to Chiron near you there. An evil hour that will of thine was evermore so hasty. And then they identified the three minotaurs. Or,
So
yeah,
the three centaurs.
centaurs, excuse me,
Centaurs.
centaurs. There was only one minotaur. And, okay.
Do we read? Okay.
Sure. Mhm.
Okay, so this is 77, I think. Near we approached unto those monsters fleet. Chiron an arrow took, and with the notch backward upon his jaw, he put his beard. After he had uncovered his great mouth, he said to his companions, are you ware that he behind moveth whatever he touches? Thus are not wont to do the feet of dead men. And my good guide, who now was at his breast, where the two natures are together joined, replied, indeed, he lives, and thus alone me it behooves to show him the dark valley. Necessity and not delight impels us.
Okay.
Someone withdrew from singing hallelujah, who unto me committed this new office. No thief is he, nor I a thievish spirit. By that virtue, sorry?
I think we need to actually at least say something about lines 77. Yeah, we need to 77 through 81. Or actually 77 through 84.
And he could move his beard.
The what caught me was the line, which isn't the story. It's just a detail. Let's see, 81, 82, 83, 84, where the two nature, this is 84 or 85,
Yeah.
where the two natures are at his breast, where the two natures are together joined. What is that image? I don't see it.
It's man and horse.
Oh, okay. I'm
That's good.
sorry.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm. Okay.
I didn't visualize that.
Yeah, I'm struggling with the image of the notch backward upon his jaws. He put his beard. I'm having a hard
He
time
threw
drawing.
he threw the beard off of his mouth so he could talk.
Oh,
His beard. I mean, I think backward upon his jaw and with the notch
78.
Backward upon his jaws, he put his beard.
So there's maybe something, the ear of a centaur or something, or his ear. He held the beard behind out of the way so he could talk.
Right, but we realize that this is the implication is that Chiron has an actual body,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
that he's not just a spirit.
Well, this is where Garolini talks about Dante kind of playing with our minds. You know,
I have a question. In the mythology, we always heard about the centaurs, but how they were reproduced? It should be a centauress.
Oh,
Yeah. There is no mention of
they
centauress.
were back at the corral.
I don't
There is
know.
there is no mention of centauress.
Heard of-
The
No,
feminine.
John,
Oh,
Kissian, R. Kissian. How do you say your last name?
Sarkisian.
Sarkisian.
John the Elder.
Yeah, have you heard of a female centaur?
No.
Centauress.
Chiron was conceived when Saturn, or it would have been Uranus, to wooed a woman, like turned himself into a horse to
Mhm.
escape his wife's notice as he went to seduce someone whose name I can't remember.
Mhm.
And that led to the birth of Chiron. But as to where the other centaurs came from, I really have no idea.
Yeah, so
Well,
it's
they're like
it's
mules.
fantasy.
They're like mules. No, they're like mules.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, a mule is a
Or
horse
it's
and a horse
fantasy.
and a donkey
Yeah.
that cannot reproduce.
Yeah.
A mule is
Something like
actually
that.
neither male nor female, although it may have, yeah, because they can't reproduce.
Probably all
Um,
that fantasy comes from nature in one way or another.
Well, I think that the purpose of a chimera like a centaur is to state a psychological truth that some people have some characteristics of a person, but also have characteristics of an animal like a horse. You know, that they're not really creatures themselves, but they're stating a psychological truth. Just like the Minotaur. Look at the Minotaur. The Minotaur was mm, a bull created by a bull mounting. Who did the bull mount?
Yeah.
Wait, it's in here.
Pasiphae, King
Persephone.
Minos' wife.
Persephone, who dressed up as a bull in
Mhm.
order to tempt the bull to mount her. And that
The
the
notes were
Minotaur
saying
was,
something about a wooden structure created so that it would work.
yeah,
Yep.
right.
Like
Yeah, the wooden structure was to make her look like a bull
Mhm.
or like a bulless.
Oh.
You know, and once again, this is it could be looked at in terms of coming up with images to state certain psychological situations or spiritual situations. So, and the Minotaur is, in a sense, the opposite of a centaur, because in the Minotaur, it's a bull's head with a more or less
yeah.
human body. And the centaur is a man's upper body uh, welded to the body of a horse.
So
Can you see this?
you see, Decio has a picture of a sculpture of one here.
Of
By Rodin. Rodin is in Paris. Rodin Museum.
Rodin.
Rodin
Oh, yeah.
did it, but just a sculpture. This is not in the mythology. It's just a sculpture by Rodin.
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, I guess I think that with that part of the Chiron taking this arrow and with the notch backward upon his jaws, he put his beard. I think he's only saying he basically like he took his bow and like drew it back with his mouth. That's the image I have. And and then he uncovered his mouth, and he says
The notch would be on, you're
the
pulling an
bowstring.
arrow back. There's a
Yeah.
notch somewhere. Not that I've ever done that, but
No, I mean, I'm just
so
to
I
imagine
think the
hunting.
notch is a
Yeah.
thing.
I'm having
Okay,
a hard
with the
time
notch
drawing up.
backward upon his jaw. Yeah, I'm not. Someone
Yeah.
have Sylvia. You here? What's your translation of that?
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Well, line 78. What is line 78 in your translation?
Yeah, he puts the beard as
Yeah, I mean, I was puzzled by that. I said that earlier on.
What is the line, the actual line?
78.
the bow.
70, 78, 78.
Then
Yeah.
and then when he covered his mouth, he said, "Yeah."
It's
Okay.
our line starts, Sharon an arrow took, and with the notch backward upon his jaws, he put his beard.
Mine says he parted his beard to
Parted.
both sides of his jaws. Jaws.
Oh, okay, that's different than
Okay,
it.
right. Chiron
I
drew
suppose he's
out
got
an
a beard, or
arrow
something. He
with the
does
notch.
something like that. I mean, I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is Mandelbaum, which may be the same as Chiron drew out an arrow with the notch. He parted his beard back upon his jaw. So
And with the
Mhm.
notch, sure.
when he uncovered his enormous mouth, he said to his companions, "Have you noticed how he who walks behind moves what he touches? Dead souls are not accustomed to do that."
No.
Yeah.
Right.
So once again, I'm thinking that this is Dante very subtly telling us that these centaurs have bodies.
And the other monsters too, probably, in the other parts of the Inferno.
Possibly. Possibly.
I think Duncan, well, a small point. It seems to me it's Chiron who is saying to his companions, observing Dante, do
Yeah.
you
Yes,
observe-
yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Not that the Chiron, yeah, the centaurs may
No,
have
no, no. The only indication that Chiron has a body is the fact that when he pulls back his bow, he parts his beard.
Yes, right. But he comments to his companions about
Yes.
Dante. He's apparently
Yes.
he's alive too. He has a body too.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I have a note that says that in the usage of the day, barba could refer to mustache rather than beard. And that would be a little bit easier to visualize here if he's just
Oh, yeah,
moving his
sure.
mustache.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So here is Hollander's note on lines 76 through 82. Chiron's remarks are put to the service of reminding the reader of the uniqueness of this fleshly visitor to hell, Dante. The realism of the detail when he, Chiron, is described as moving the bristles of his beard with an arrow, has understandably pleased many. It perhaps also forces us to wonder whether the demons of hell have a fleshly or only a spirit presence. For if Dante can move things with his body, apparently Chiron can also. His own beard with the notch of an arrow.
Sure. And Dante was physically in danger by other mythological guardians of levels of Inferno already.
Well,
So they weren't just spirits if they were going to endanger his body.
Okay. Well, you seem to have solved this problem on your own. But Hollander's remark is, this question is never confronted by Dante, who leaves the ontological status of the demons of hell unresolved.
Yeah, and that's what Barolini's talking about, you know.
Mhm.
it really gets that I think that the idea, he kind of leaves the idea of, well, what's the point you mentioned before about shooting arrows at people who are already dead? Well, what's the point of shooting arrows at mere spirits? I mean, it wouldn't have kind of, they didn't have bodies. It would just sort of like go right through them, you'd think. Sort of like, so, I mean, you wonder what are these centaurs really doing there? Supposedly they're kind of enforcers or something to keep people in their place, but they're being shooting these arrows, which, I mean, they would be like shooting blanks or something like that.
Yeah, your question observation is a good one, to which I would say PTSD, meaning that many times we are tormented by unreal things.
Oh my, yeah. Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
So even though physically something can't possibly harm us, just the image of it or the thought is enough to torment us.
It hurts, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to
And it
go.
hurts. It hurts, uh, so I bring up the example of missing limb phantoms,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
I need to show you something. I need to go. At the Museum of Art, there's a new exhibit on Africa and Byzantium. And the article about it in the Plain Dealer was so interesting. I have to go. I have to get ready. I
are
made a,
you going to the exhibit now?
yeah, I made a
Okay,
reservation.
okay,
So,
Well,
bring back knowledge.
yeah.
yeah. And for people who don't live in Cleveland, they have this whole availability. I don't know if it's the traveling exhibits, but their whole collection can be found online. It's
Oh,
really a
Oh,
remarkable
oh,
thing
okay.
they're doing for the
Meaning
public.
you go
It's
look at the
found pretty
specimen.
easily online.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to go. I'll be back next week. I really love doing this.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
good.
Enjoy.
Enjoy. Yeah. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay.
I think just to maybe draw a fine point upon just the previous comments about this, there's a lot of things, just looking at the Minotaur, and I recall the Cerberus, and well, all kinds of other of these tormented beings in hell. Are a
Yeah.
lot of them are like they bite themselves, or they're chewing on themselves, or in some way they're sort of
Yes.
like inflicting self-punishment in some
Yes.
way. So I suppose in a
Yes.
way that ties in with that concept of, maybe these arrows are like PTSD. That does tie together with that thought. This is a self-inflicted, or like, it's a just punishment that is almost like self-inflicted out of the evil of that grew from that brought them into this place. So
Yeah. And this is, I mean, at essence, underneath all of this is the question of pain in a loving universe.
yeah, yes, there it is. Very good
That
point.
is the big religious question. I mean, most people who are struggling with religion, that is their big question. If
Yeah,
there's a loving God, how can there be such terrible pain?
there you go. Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
Okay. And I think
Mhm.
somewhere behind or underneath all this is that question is lurking.
Mm,
So
mm,
if this eternal punishment is actually people punishing themselves because of their misapprehension of the nature of the universe.
mm.
Anyway, I can't be too much clearer than that because I'm not even more clear to me. But it seems like that question is here.
Very much so, yes.
Mm.
All right. So, shall we wrap it up here, or do we have a little bit more to go before we stop?
That's probably a good spot because then Virgil explains that Dante is alive and why he's there, and Beatrice, and so you're starting a new section. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
mind.
no, that sounds about right to me.
And
Yeah,
Anne,
there's a logical breaking point here.
Yeah.
what
Exactly, John.
Yeah, and I like breaking in scenes,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah, and which number is it, 87 or where?
Let's
87, yeah,
see.
87.
85, I'd say, where the two natures are joined together, and then replied, indeed he lives. So that's Virgil. So is that 85?
Yeah,
Yes, that's
okay.
85. Indeed, he lives, and thus alone me
Yeah.
behooves to show him the dark valley. Necessity and not delight impels us.
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly.
okay.
Line 85 through 87. Start here next time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And also, I think that when we break things up this way, they're actually more memorable,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
you know. I think that's the good part of reading the way that we're reading now,
Right.
is that we're also delivering the text to ourselves in more memorable chunks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Well, I hope to see you all next Wednesday when we
Okay.
shall.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Night.
But